Hi, everybody. So, on this episode today, I want to talk about one of my favorite sports when I was growing up, which was professional wrestling. Now, growing up in the 80s, when it came to Saturday mornings, there were two things you really looked forward to as a kid back then, watching cartoons and then watching WWE, back then, the WWF. So, so many large than life characters to watch, such as Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Macho Man Randy Savage, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, just to name a few. And it was always something to look forward to, even as I got older, still had the interest and still am a wrestling fan to this day. And, it was just a great time back then, even in the mid to late 90s, with the Monday Night Wars between Raw and Nitro. You had those of us that were either fans of the NWO, you had those that were fans of DX. But, it was a great time, and, just recently got through watching, NXT as well as All Elite Wrestling. And now we have the Wednesday Night Wars. So this takes me back so much to back when they had the Monday Night Wars, but right now, I would say it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. If you get out of wrestling, it's a good time to start watching again. So many different options to watch, so many different networks, so many different ways to watch it now. So if you were a wrestling fan before and you still appreciate wrestling, this is a good time to watch wrestling. And you got, again, the Wednesday Night Wars, and we have NXT, which is part of WWE, and they have a good group. They have a great storyline. They have a great group of wrestlers, male and female, as well as with All Elite Wrestling. They're coming along and they're showing that they got great athletes, male and female. So both of them each bring something different to the table on Wednesday nights. It's one of those cases where you just flipping the TV back and forth because you don't want to miss the action on one or the other, and as well as setting your DVR at the same time. So it's one of those instances where you're just watching and, it's like you don't want to miss the action on either one. So I love what WWE has with NXT. As they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's nothing wrong with the product, whatever they're doing, they need to keep doing it and continue the storylines and continue the action as it is. And the same with All Elite Wrestling, as they're coming along, they're, growing, and then they're going to show that they can do some things as well. I'm sure in due time, we're going to see more out of that roster of talent, as they're increasing. They just recently crowned tag team champions in SoCal Uncensored, or SCU, a three-man faction that consists of Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky. So congrats to them. As well as, right before that, they had their women's tournament to crown their first AEW women's champion in Rio. Now, we see their current champ is a familiar face to a lot of wrestling fans, Chris Jericho. So you got some familiar faces over there in AEW between Chris Jericho, Cody Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes, just to name a few, and other faces you may have seen in other wrestling organizations such as the Young Bucks, and again with SCU, SoCal Uncensored. So some familiar faces that fans are already familiar with, and even wrestlers that were in Japan that have made their way over to All Elite Wrestling, such as Kenny Omega. So he's had so many matches over in New Japan, and, it's cool to see him stateside, and just doing something here. So it's like you had to watch New Japan to really see Kenny Omega, but AEW gives you the opportunity to see Kenny Omega and see what he can really do. So I've seen some great matches he's had. I've seen some great matches on both shows, actually. So it's like can't miss TV on Wednesday nights with NXT and AEW. And again, a great product out of all of these organizations. So you got to tip your hat to each and every wrestling organization that's out there trying to make their impact, trying to make their presence felt. Again, you still have WWE, which has Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, and then you have NXT on Wednesday nights, and you also have All Elite Wrestling on Wednesday nights, as well as you have to tip your hat to Impact Wrestling. In spite of all the changes that they've gone through, Impact Wrestling is still hanging in there. I haven't watched it in a while, honestly, but I do still have to give them a tip of the hat now. I know Impact Wrestling has wrestlers like Rob Van Dam and Rhino on their rosters, so that's something to look forward to as well if you're a wrestling fan, And overall, just a great time to be a wrestling fan again. So many different options to watch, so many different shows that may come to town, even with the independent scene in various cities and suburbs. Still good wrestlers and that put on great wrestling matches, and it's a good time to again be a wrestling fan. So I would say let's enjoy this moment in time and have fun with it. And that's all I have to say about it on today. So again, God bless you guys, be good to one another, and enjoy this time because again, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. Take care.